In this short clip, we're going to talk a little bit about the quick setup menu. So we've got the main screen, but one menu over. So if you highlight the top bar and go one menu over, you're going to find quick setup. This is where you find features that we thought might need to be changed, on the job site. So it's things that you might need some quick access to. The first of which, we have align solids. Please look up the align solids video to understand a little bit more how this works. Essentially, we will delay turning on a solid gun until the next skip, so that way the solid and skip start together, and vice versa, where we will actually hold a solid gun on until the end of the next skip, allowing you to have nice clean lines. In most quick setup menus, you'll also find this mode selector. This is where you're most commonly going to operate in normal mode. So that's where each gun performs in either a skip or a solid and is following the main screen stripe and cycle. Every system has what's called test mode. Test mode is really for when you are in the shop and don't have speed. So this is going to be when you're just making sure that outputs are coming on correctly with your guns, and that sort of thing. The SC-12 and the MST-14 are very capable, and they take into account the position of the guns on the carriage. What that means is that a gun, it gets essentially smart and knows that it's, say 6 inches, 12 inches back behind the front of the carriage. That allows you to have precise control of your guns, but it also creates a situation where if you don't have speed, a gun knows it's 6 inches behind the front applicator or front of the carriage. It knows it's not supposed to turn on for 6 inches. That's great unless you're testing in a shop and you have 0 speed. So test mode, if I go to the main screen, we'll show you right here at this big bottom bar. It says test mode. No delays, no offsets, no skipper. If I turn on a gun, it just comes on. No flash, nothing to it. Doesn't really matter if I'm in a gap. That number 2 gun that's set to skip is going to come on. There's no sparks, there's nothing going on, just the guns come on no matter what. Now you may have some additional modes here, which we're going to talk about in some different feature clips. Some of these other modes might be black pattern mode, zipper mode. We also have a reflective marker layout mode. Autocycle is a really neat feature for retracing. So what happens is that your distance calibration might not be exactly the same as it was the previous year, or if you're retracing after another entity has gone in and painted, what a 40-foot cycle is to you probably isn't a 40-foot cycle to whoever did it before. It might be a 39.8-foot cycle or a 40.2-foot cycle. And if you're doing single skip and you're going a long distance, that means that you are making a lot of advanced retard adjustments as you go, which of course can be very annoying. So what we've done is we've added an autocycle feature. If I turn autocycle on, and let's say we are trying to do a 40-foot cycle, but the previous work wasn't quite 40 foot, we're going to watch to see how you use this advanced retard switch. If you're just constantly advancing the pattern down the road to align with the previous markings, we're just going to keep on increasing that cycle slowly until eventually we match up with the calibration of the previous application, and then eventually you can hopefully just cycle for a long distance. Datum point, we're going to discuss in another video. This is similar to a delayed start feature, where instead of trying to paint off of the gun carriage, meaning instead of trying to flip your start switch right when you're on top of your target, you actually pick a point ahead of that using a laser or a flag. What that does is it makes it so that we can turn pumps, beads, anything on early that needs to come on before the paint, or in slow-moving, slow responsive paint applications such as like thermoplastic ribbon or something, we can take into account the fall time of that material to get you dead on. So this is very handy in single operator modes, and also when you want full bead registration, or if you're working with a slow falling material. Start on index. Sometimes that is a toggle, sometimes it's in this quick setup menu. That is determining whether we start on a skip or a gap. So I'll show you here real quick. Right here, as you can see, we are going to start on a skip. If I flip that around, it's basically putting the pattern on its head. We're going to start on a gap. So as you can see, the pattern has been flipped around. In a 1040 cycle, what that means is I will travel 30 feet before putting down a 10-foot skip. Where does this come into play? It could come in handy, after an intersection or after a bridge. And lastly, a common quick setup item is Midspot. That's for a reflective marker placement. We can do it every odd skip, every even skip, or both. So it's every skip we would do a hash mark for reflective marker placement. Now your system is going to be customized to your operation, and so what that means is you may have additional quick setup items or shortcuts to certain menus. Your quick setup menu may be much longer than this. This is really just a common quick setup menu. Please let us know if you have any questions.